Now, there are many rules, but you just have to pick the one that suits you. Again, this all comes back to the savings muscle. I like to think of 4 muscles. The savings muscle is like your legs. I really think it's the first muscle you should learn. Controversial take, I know some people say no, focus on the income. But I think savings muscle, look, when you're earning as much as you like, if your savings still suck, you're spending all of your money, right? If you haven't got that muscle down. Income muscle is probably the next most important, right? Because that's going to be earning. And then after that, we're thinking about spending muscle, because again, when you earn more, that's really powerful. That's going to, because you can only save to 0, whereas you can earn almost infinite, right? So you can earn a lot. So the saving is in between, right? But that's the difference. Now, the spending is actually getting the most for your bang for your buck. Because sometimes when you get too thrifty, too miserly, it can reduce your quality of living and those around you. And really with the kind of the spending muscle, it's learning how to spend to make your life happy. Like find what you like, etc. Cutting out certain things so that you can focus on the things you really like. Finding certain tweaks. And the investing is really about optimizing that difference. But yeah, there's Senator Elizabeth Warren and her daughter Amelia's 50-30-20 rule, where you put 50% of your net income towards essentials, the musts, 30% towards fun, 20% towards your future, so saving or investing or paying back debt. Now, in terms of what's best for you, if you want a straightforward system for balancing spending and saving without tracking every single transaction, then that's great, right? That's a great system. Now, beyond the 50-30-20 rule, there's the envelope system. And this is where you put money in labeled envelopes, and once it's gone, you can't spend any money on that category. Now, you can do this with certain apps these days. You don't have to have a physical envelope. This is great for people who they want a hands-on approach and they struggle with impulse buying, impulse spending, impulse purchases using debit or credit cards. Now, another thing to think about is value-based budgeting. This starts by asking you to identify your core values. Like, what do you really care the most about? Family, travel, health, or education? I'm not here to judge. Then analyze your spending to see if it adds to or takes from these values. Intentionally redirect your money towards the categories that matter to you. This is great if you feel restricted by traditional budgeting and you just want a more purposeful, long-term approach to your money. Then there's zero-based budget. This intensively assigns a job to each dollar of income. So what you do is you list the take-home pay and you subtract expenses including savings and debt repayments, and any leftover money it must go towards a new category like debt payoff or extra savings. This is great if you want total control over your money, right? If that's the kind of person you are. Maybe you're a control freak, right? You're willing to meticulously track your spending. You want to know my favorite? My favorite is a thing called pay yourself first, or reverse budgeting, which prioritizes saving over spending. So here I decide percentage of my savings, that's what I want to save, and then I auto transfer to the savings, right, or the retirement accounts on my payday. I live on what's left. So this is great for me. Like, I used to struggle to save consistently, and I wanted to automate my path to building wealth. Now that it's on automation, like, that's the first thing that happens. I've got to figure out everything else, but my future is safe. So how to choose the right rule for you? To find your best fit, just start by asking yourself a few questions. So what are my goals? If saving is your main priorities, pay yourself first, like what I do, or even the 80-20 rule might be best. If your goal is to get a handle on all your spending, then maybe the zero-based budgeting is a good choice. What is my income like? Look, if your income is irregular, maybe you're an entrepreneur, for instance, then zero-based budgeting can help you budget the money that you have on hand each month. If your income is steady, on the other hand, maybe percentage-based rules, like the 50-30-20, they're maybe easier to implement. How much detail do you want? So if you prefer simplicity, the 50-30-20 rule, or pay yourself first is best. For detailed tracking, zero-based budgeting is ideal. Do you tend to overspend? If you struggle with impulse buys, I know a lot of us do, then the cash-based envelope system can provide powerful visual accountability. It's all about accountability, right? No matter which method you choose, the key is to find a system that you will actually stick with. Remember that these are guidelines, and you can always adjust or combine them to fit your unique financial situation. For me, honestly, I love to hit a specific dollar number of savings or investments. What is the maximum I can contribute towards my future? Because, look, I'm a delayed gratification or future focused guy. Everything else adjusts to hit this. And I found over time that my sweet spot, by just covering my essentials and adjusting my fun until it was just barely sufficient, and my marginal utilities, right, the extra oomph that I got, the extra enjoyment I got from spending and saving were the same. Because I used to value saving so much, I would save huge amount. I would cut my spending down until the point where, like, okay, an extra dollar of saving is just like not that much valuable, but I'm really like living on thin air. Okay, that's where the equal utilities came in. It's essentially the pay yourself first approach. You know, you want to combine the 12-month passage plan forecast with monthly logbook check-ins, creating a practical roadmap guiding you consistently towards your financial goals.